Hello, welcome to this week's Musings on Monday, the 12th of September. How are you? It's been a busy few weeks, hasn't it? Such a lot going on right now, both personally and professionally for me, not to mention the world events and the news about the death of Queen Elizabeth II. I don't know about you, but I think it's time for a breather, huh? But before I go any further, it would be remiss of me not to mention the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. Whether you're a royalist or not, the fact remains she was a mother, a grandmother, a great-grandmother, a sister and an aunt. So from her private family's point of view, her loss will be deeply felt. And I'm sure that's something we can all identify with. So all I'll say is my deepest condolences are sent to her family circle from one human being to another at this time. It must be very difficult for them to have to grieve so publicly. So I think from a human point of view, no matter your political or constitutional persuasion, I think from a human point of view, it is compassionate to at least recognise the humanity. And surely we can tune into that compassion for a fellow human being. That having been said, let's move on. The musings are not, I don't want them to be taken over by those events because, as I've said, it is very much about finding some time for yourself in the midst of everything that's going on. So how can we find time to relax? How can we find time to stay centered and balanced, to keep the plates all spinning, to juggle the balls that we have to juggle, but yet still find the time for self-care, still find the time for us in the midst of the crazy? And it's something that I often consider. As many of you know, I spin a lot of plates, just like you. And there's always something demanding my attention. It's really easy to spread yourself far too thin, isn't it? This is something that I have to constantly work on. For anyone who's new to the musings or anyone who doesn't know, let me just spend a moment or two explaining about the number of plates that I do spin. So obviously I run my own business, Rocks and Rituals. And Rocks and Rituals is your trusted spiritual guide, really, to help you light up your life. It's really what it's all about. But I'm a sole trader. And as a result, that means I do pretty much everything myself at this moment in time, from accounts to website, rebranding, content, customer service, marketing. All of it is kind of in my domain. Now, Shannon, my daughter, has given me an immense amount of time back because, as those of you who have been in the Rocks and Rituals world for a little while will know, she has now taken over the majority of the Reiki sessions, the one-to-one healing sessions, which has freed me up immensely to become more involved in the consulting and mentoring and teaching side of the business, which is where my strengths lie now with the wealth of experience that I have. At the same time, there's still a lot going on, but Shannon is doing a great job, and I'd just like to say a massive thank you to her and to all of you who have trusted her with your sessions. It's just so beautiful to see it being taken to the next generation. It's great. But alongside Rocks and Rituals, then, for those who don't know, I also have other responsibilities. So I am the officer responsible for new volunteers and recruitment with St John Ambulance Bangor, and I'm also one of their volunteer trainers, as well as being emergency ambulance crew. And all of this is voluntary work. And it keeps me really busy. Sometimes St John demands so much of my time that my partner looks at me and goes, "You are a volunteer, remember that." The thing about it is, I love it so much that I will continue to do it, but I do have to be aware of my boundaries, and It does keep me grounded. It keeps me doing a real physical it keeps me in the physical world, looking after people's physical health, because I spend so much of my time with their emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. So it's really good from that point of view. I've also taken on a little bit of extra work just to help with the cost of living increases that I'm sure you're facing just as much as I am. And I have caring responsibilities and duties revolving around my mum as well. I'm also a mum. I'm also a partner. And I have a gorgeous fur baby called Raven, but she's quite demanding too. So there's a multitude of different roles there that have to be fulfilled. And sometimes life gets completely manic. Working demands and John demands, trying to keep on top of great customer service, trying to keep providing good content for you. All these things take time. And sometimes we just simply need a breather, don't we? So what can we do? What can we actually do to try and continue to fulfill our responsibilities and our roles that we have picked up, but still honour our own needs for our own personal time and our own self-care? And this is where I believe Reiki's really helped me. It's helped me immensely, that daily practice of Reiki meditations and Reiki healing and tuning into myself, taking a few minutes each day, no matter what. Doesn't matter whether it's a weekday, whether it's a weekend, whether I have the busiest day on earth, it still needs done. I'll give you an example. As I record this for you, yesterday I was out providing paid medical cover for an event that I was doing. It's work outside of St John. It's nothing to do with them. So it was a paid first aid event I was covering. And I had to get up at 5 a.m. and I had to be in Antrim for 7 a.m. So I had to leave the house at 6. I still did my morning meditation. It doesn't matter what goes on. It still happens. It has to be a disciplined practice. Because if I don't do that every day, I don't get that headspace. I don't find the peace, and I can't start my day with a positive intention. It really helps me to walk my talk, because obviously as a Reiki teacher, you wouldn't trust a stressed out, burned out Reiki teacher, would you? Just a thought. But you can bring this state of peaceful intention into your day at any time. You simply need to breathe. We forget to breathe sometimes, don't we? When we're stressed or wound up, it's all up here. It's all very shallow. You probably didn't even notice your breath until I mentioned it just now. So let's take a moment. No matter what's going on around you right now, take a moment to breathe. If you're listening to this in the car, don't close your eyes, unless you're the passenger. But if you're watching this in the comfort of your own home, or if you're listening, or even if you're reading, people reading the blog version of this, let's just take a moment. If you want, and it's safe to do so, close your eyes. But if not, just breathe in. Let's just breathe in to the count of 4. So breathing in, and then just hold it. And slowly now, when you feel ready, just release it out. And then repeat that twice more. So let's do that. So breathing out for slightly longer than you breathe in. Empty your lungs completely on your out breath. Do you notice a change in your physiology? Do you notice a feeling of relaxation when you pause to breathe? When we focus on our breath, it naturally provokes a response in our brain. It naturally tells our brain It's okay to turn the stress response off. A slow, deep breath with the little pause and a slightly longer out breath sends a powerful message through the vagus nerve in the body into the brain and tells the brain, it's okay, chill. You can turn that stress response off. We don't need so much adrenaline and cortisol right now. And then the relaxation hormones start to flood through the body. You can find that you start to relax a little more. In fact, you can take it a step further, and if you smile as well, that also helps to promote the feeling of relaxation and happiness, rather than being all stressed and grumpy. So notice your breath, notice what's going on. You can take your breath with you everywhere. You do take your breath with you everywhere. You don't need any special tools. It doesn't cost any money. They haven't taxed air yet. So you can breathe at any time you want. It's just simply about noticing when you're holding the stress. Another thing we can do is be really mindful of our thoughts and the energy that we're putting out, because we've established previously in other musings that thoughts are things, and that whatever you're thinking and saying to yourself is carrying an energetic signature. So if you're under a lot of pressure, you're busy, maybe you've got lots going on at work and you've got, demands coming in and deadlines looming, everybody needing a piece of you, it's all going crazy. I had a day like that the other day. And it's really easy to fall into the habit of going, oh, I'm so stressed. I can't do this. Oh my God, I've got so much to do. I'm never going to get this all done. So what happens energetically when you say things like that? You're putting out the intention that you're too busy, that you can't get things done, that you are under pressure. And that energetic vibration ripples out and it comes back multiplied. And as a result, you are even more stressed, even more under pressure, even more things start landing on your desk or on your plate. So what you need to do is simply stop, notice what's happening. What am I saying? It's the same principle as when you're running late. You put in that energetic vibration out, I'm running late, I'm so late, I'm going to be late. Then you are late because you've set the intention that you're going to be late. Okay? So notice and reframe. Maybe try saying, I have a lot of stuff to do today, but I have all the time in the world to get it done. You might not believe it, but trust me when I tell you it works. Or maybe you can say to yourself, I have a lot to do, but if I prioritize the most important things and do them first, one at a time, then I'll have all the time in the world to get the rest done. Secret is one at a time. The trap that we fall into sometimes is that we try and do a million things at once. But that actually ends up taking longer because we end up having to go back and fix mistakes that we wouldn't have made had we just focused on one thing at a time. Okay? Every time your attention is pulled away from what you're doing, it takes your brain about 10 minutes to get back into it. So bear that in mind if you're constantly flitting from one task to another. Absolutely, you can have effective use of your time. So if you are, let's take it into the house, for example, and you're trying to get housework and things done. Well, nobody's asking you to put your washing into the washing machine and stand and watch it while it runs through its cycle. But you could put that in and then go and do something else while that's working. Same as if you are, for example, I had to go into the office the other day and I had a mountain of paperwork sitting that had to be dealt with. And I thought, right, okay, so as I ran that through the scanner, big pile, I thought I could stand here and watch it go through the scanner and be considering how stressed I am. Or better use of my time at that moment was to run that through the scanner. And while that was taking the 5-6 minutes to do that, because it was a big bundle of paper, while that was being scanned, I went and I spent those 5 minutes answering the emails that had come in. It's about effective use of your time, but doing one thing at a time so that your focus is only on the one thing. So I wasn't focusing on the stuff that was going through the scanner. I was focusing on the emails. Okay. But sometimes what we do is we spend so much time giving off about the things we have to do. So we are like, I'm so busy. I'm so stressed. Oh my God. Have you any idea how stressed I am? And you're having all these conversations maybe with work colleagues or with your friends or your family, and you're constantly telling everyone how busy you are. What about if we just stop doing that and just actually get on with it? Or is that just me? Go on, be honest. I'm sure you can identify with giving off about having lots to do rather than just getting on with it. It is a really disciplined approach, but it really does work. So notice when you're about to complain, reframe it, focus on one task at a time, and breathe. Simply breathe. So people sometimes say to me, that's all well and good, but how do I notice my thoughts? How do I notice what's going on? I've got too much going on. I can't possibly notice my thoughts. And this is where we come back to the concept that I mentioned at the start about taking 5 minutes every day just to focus on your breathing and to focus on yourself, to simply just be. So do that now. Give yourself permission now, after you finish listening to the musings. Take 5 minutes and just allow yourself to simply sit and be. Just breathe. Notice your thoughts as they go past and see what comes up. Might be an idea to try and get into a daily habit, and then let me know how that changes things. So, in the spirit of having a breather, there will be no musings next week. Okay. I am going to take a little breather myself for a couple of reasons. One is that, as far as I'm aware at this point, Monday the 19th will be a public holiday due to the recent events at Buckingham Palace. So as far as I'm aware, it is a public holiday, and I personally am just going to take it as one. I'm going to take it as a breather so that I can come back refreshed with new content for you the following week. With that in mind, I would love to hear from you. Are there any particular topics you would like to have discussed? Would you like to have any questions answered? Is there something that's on your mind that you would like me to chat about in the musings? I would love to hear from you. So either send me an email or ping me a little comment beneath this post, or get in touch through any of the social media channels, and I will speak to you again the week after. So whatever you're up to this week and next, have a fantastic time. But remember to breathe, notice your thoughts, and if at all possible, reframe things into a positive context and see how that changes your ability to find a balance between spinning the plates and them all coming crashing down around you. I'll see you soon.